pure experiences.
Welcome to the Pure Experiences Podcasts. Is the existence infinite? Can such questions be answered? What happens when you try to answer such questions? Let us introspect and find out.
We'll start with something very, very general. There is a question sometimes, or there is a statement from a big guru that the whole of the existence is infinite. And usually everybody accepts it because said by somebody great. How do we know that? Is the existence infinite? What is the evidence for that? Where is the proof? Can you show me that it is infinite? Now, these should be the questions that one should ask their teachers. But since it is said by somebody great, we simply accept it. We don't see the infinite, isn't it? So, is it even possible to know if something is infinite or not, given limits of our own knowledge and perception and intelligence? If not, then how come the teacher or the great master came to this conclusion that everything is infinite? We can try, because we have nothing else to do today, so we can try this kind of exercise. It is not going to be totally useless, because even if you don't find an answer, you will get a little bit of exercise, a spiritual exercise practice. So we can do this through introspection. If somebody thinks that the answers to such questions will come from an experience out there somewhere, then that is kind of very difficult. It is almost impossible. So all you can do is turn inwards and try to see if there is an answer here or not. Because the great claim is that once you know your own self, you know everything. So we can test this claim today. How to find out if the existence is infinite, and how to find out if it is finite. So as usual, we start with the words. What do you mean by existence? What do you mean by infinity? This is how we start. There is no other way to start. You cannot get out of your house and start searching for the infinite existence somewhere out there. So these questions like these, they are end product of some kind of insight that the master has. And now he simply declares the final conclusion, the bottom line, and you keep wondering, why did he say that? So he will come one day and say, the existence is infinite. And you think, wow, it is a great thought. So I gained some knowledge today, but nothing useful there for you. Even if it is infinite, your life is going to remain the way it is. If it is finite, no difference. So, what is the utility of such questions that existence is infinite and so on? We can start with the words. What is existence? Any comments? Any answers there? Because if you don't know what is existence, how will you know whether it is finite or infinite or limited or bounded or anything else? What is existence? And then we can think about its properties, size and so on, length, time. Anybody wants to warm up their minds by trying to answer this? Okay, Ajay has some answer. From my experience of duality, I can say space is infinite. And also, whatever I call existence is creation of 5 limited senses of the body. So I actually don't know what exists. That's a very good start. Yes, you can wonder about things like space and so on. And that when I say existence, people picture this big universe in their mind with galaxies floating in the black space. Isn't it? This is our conditioning. Remember, what will be existence like from the point of view of a villager, for example, a tribal person in the jungle who does not have such notions, who thinks that the stars are holes in the sky from which the light of the heavens is leaking, something like this, different worldview. What will be the existence for that person? Or let us say some liberated mind who has seen all the universes, all the past, present and future is in front of him. What will he think about the existence? So one thing you can, certainly say, existence is dependent on the mind. Different kind of minds will think about existence differently. It is not something which is objective, which is simply out there and you can go and look at it and look, this is the existence and I know what it is. It is not like this. It is an idea. That's all it is. If I can experience something, it exists. The word exists means to stand out. So if I can experience something, it exists, and the sum total of my experience is what I call existence. Is that a good enough definition? because it is subjective. Existence is subjective. If I don't experience, it does not exist. And the word existence covers all that exists. Now you should not have any kind of doubt here. The things that are not experienced, they do not form the existence. You may have an idea about it, an imagination about it, but do not form the part of the existence. So all that can be experienced comes under existence. For example, I say, I have a white elephant that can fly. It is standing there in my backyard. Now, is it a part of existence? Simply because I could imagine it, because I can put it in the language. So obviously no, because it exists as an idea. The idea is, the imagination is part of the existence because I can experience that idea. You can also experience the idea, but not the white flying elephant. So we should not have doubts like this, that I don't experience that, this and that, and so but still it can be a part of the existence. No, this should not happen. If you want to have any meaningful knowledge of the existence, it should be based on the experience. So a totality of my experience is the existence. And like Ajay said, it is limited to what I can experience. And the experience is limited to the 5 senses, but there is more. The mind is also there. Everything that goes on in the mind, the experience of the internal senses, the experience of the senses inside the body also. There are 3 layers of experiences. The first is what you call the world. It is coming through the senses. It's obviously limited. Second is the experience of the body, which is coming from the internal senses of the body. And the third is the mind itself, which is coming from the mental senses. All of them are limited. So if what I can experience is limited, that means the existence must be limited. Like I can experience only this much. So that, totally falsifies whatever that the question is saying. You have the answer now. Look at the existence. It is limited because only this much can be experienced. Are we forgetting something? Because a master will not say this just for time pass. He must have done some great introspection. This must be a result of some insight. You can give him benefit of doubt because he is the master. So when we look at our ordinary experience, it is very limited. It is very finite. Now we can go deeper in this and try to find the limit of the experience. Where did our experience start? When did it start? Where is it going to end? We have considered one dimension of the existence, which is right now, right here, whatever the senses are telling us, whatever is our current experience. Let's add one more dimension there, the time. Is there a limit on what can be experienced? You will see that even these 5 limited senses, they are producing a lot of variety of experience. Your today's experience is different from yesterday's experience. It is different from the experience that you had 1 month ago, which is different from the experience that you had 10 years ago. When you visit a new place, new experience. Now the place came into existence. Now, is there a limit to the places? You will say, yes, the planet is the limit. But then there is a whole universe there. Theoretically, it is possible to experience that. And then you can say the universe is the limit. But no, there is more. If you are exploring the universal mind, you know, and this universe is only a tiny part of it. So, from these two angles, that the current experience is limited by the kind of experience is limited, but the amount of the experience, I cannot find a limit there. Yes, it will come in form of pictures, sounds, and the mental activity and the different kinds of bodies, different forms, but that is one dimension of its limit. But in the other dimension, there can be many kinds of experiences. I do not see something fundamental limit that, look, after this, the experience will stop. Is it possible? Can the experience stop? You see, when we go a little deep in such questions, which looks like a tiny, very innocent question, is the existence infinite? And you are expected to say yes or no, but we don't do this. We also want to know the reason. So when you go into the depths of such questions, you will explore. You will find something fascinating that I did not even think that the experience can have dimensions like this. That there can be different ways to check, to talk about the experience. And current experience, yes, this one. Then there are types of experiences, yes, these three types. Then there is this temporal dimension. I don't know when it started. And then the experiences of the universal mind, which is not presently in the waking state. And then you know suddenly that, the experience is dependent on the mind and also dependent on the mental state. See how much was learned simply by asking this question. Now it may look like that I stand nowhere now. I am simply, swinging from this branch to that branch like a monkey. I don't stand anywhere. You must be in a hurry to find out. What is the answer then? Well, that is not the point, isn't it? The point of the introspection is to introspect. The answer may come, may not come. You get the insights. So the deeper we look, and the more fuzzy it becomes, but you gain some insights. So now I hardly know whether it is infinite or not, because there are so many question marks there. Did it start somewhere? Because in order to be finite, something should have a start, isn't it? I should be able to mark or look, the experience or the existence is starting here, and it is going to end here. And there is the finitude, there is the limit to it. And now I try to check my experience and I don't see anything like this. I don't see a start of it. I don't see an end of it. It's not my direct experience. And now you can question your assumptions, because some people may have this kind of assumption that, look, the experience started as soon as I was born. What is birth? Whose experience started? Did you had the experience of a body starting, or did you have the experience of the experience starting? You see, a seeker should question like this. It should be perfectly logical. What was your experience of birth? Was it start of a body, or was it start of an experience, or both? Let me know your comments. It is very easy, you see. Probably my experience started from the birth. But since there was a birth, and it existed in the existence must be already there, isn't it? Can you doubt about this? No, everything was born at the same time, including my father, mother, and everything. And that is probable. It's very far-fetched, isn't it? Because I don't have an evidence. I do have an evidence of the experience of the others. And if you ask your mother and father, they will say, well, we were experiencing the world, the body, you appeared. You were born. The experience did not born. It is very easy. I cannot say that my experience is the only experience, because there are others who will tell that, no, I know more than you. I exist before you arrived in the world. So unless you are totally kind of, what is that? I'm forgetting the name of that philosophy. Solipsist. Unless you're solipsist, you believe in solipsism, then you can say, no, the existence is whatever is my experience and there is only me here. So that is what exists. It is a very limited view because it leaves out the experience of the others. I have, very strong reasons to believe that the others can also experience. They are not dummies, you see. They are not the mannequins in the store, that shop window. They have the same senses that I have, and so you can predict very confidently that they experience something, and the existence is something for them also. Probably different one, but it is something. So no, the birth did not start an experience. The birth started a body. In the existing existence, in the existing experience, a new experience was born. A new point of view was born. Hopefully that is not so illogical. And what will be the end of the experience? And the obvious answer is, as soon as I die, the experience is going to end. But will that end the existence? And now you can use the same logic as before. As long as there is a conscious being experiencing something, there will be an experience. There will be existence. It does not end with the death. The body ends with the death. Experience, I cannot find a beginning. I cannot find an end. So it seems now logical to conclude that, there is no end, no beginning. Sounds like infinity now. We are approaching this now, if you think like this. So I think Ajay has another comment. Yes, sir, I question this. I imagine a situation that all the newborn babies are experiencing, but the separate experiencer, ego, is not present because there is no memory at that time, or there are no thought that I am experiencing. Then who is experiencing at the time? That must be the experiencer only. So yes, thank you for bringing in the experiencer. That was missing from our discussion. So now you can add another dimension to the existence, which is our well-known experiencer. It is not the ego. The ego is an experience. The ego is a part of the existence. You cannot say that it's not there. It is there. So an experiencer must be the universal experiencer. The same experiencer that is experiencing through all the bodies, all the babies. So what has happened at the birth is that the experiencer got one more point of view. That's all. In the existing infinity of the existence, the infinity was, you can say, perceived from one more limited point of view again. This is the miracle of the birth. The birth is not really a birth of a body. The birth is appearance of a new point of view for this experiencer. What is experiencing? Obviously, there is nothing else there. Experiencer is a part of the existence. So, the existence is experiencing itself. There is no separate existence, or you can say, there is no separate reality which is experiencing this existence. Because it's not logical to say like this, you see. Because if it is separate reality, where is it? How far away it is from this reality? What is the connection between that and this so that it can experience this? You see? So as soon as there is a connection, that means the one reality can experience the other reality. That means there is a connection. It is connected. That means it is just one. You need to just zoom out and, oh, look, there's one. And it is not logical to say like this. What is logical is that the experiencer is a part of the reality, and the existence in the form of experiencer is happening in this existence only. This is, other way of saying that there's only oneness. There's no two. So we come to this another dimension of the experiencer. It is the existence itself. It has this power, you can say, to experience itself. Whatever it can experience, it calls it as existence. So something circular here. Existence experiences itself and calls the experience as the existence. You see a self-referencing mechanism here. You cannot go out of this. There is no way out of this. As soon as you imagine something that is outside of it, look, this experiencer and the experience are limited here, like this, in this way. That means you are just fantasizing about something in your mind. It is just another white elephant that can fly. There is no direct experience of it. It is not sound logic. So we end up with this kind of thing where we are locked up in the existence, and then we define the existence as this experience, and we define the experience as this existence. Because as soon as you try to do something else, well, you will get some logical, nonsense. So if you examine this new dimension of the experiencer here, which appeared somehow from somewhere, and you can say that whatever can be experienced is being experienced by the experiencer, and the experiencer is now limited by this experience. Now, if you take a look at the experiencer and try to find its limit, yes, the experience is limited. What about the experiencer? If it is limited, you will see it. Oh, look, there is this limit here. And then this limit will become an experience. It won't fall in the category of the experiencer. So, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, you won't find a limit on the experiencer. There is no limit on the experiencing, you can say. The drishya is limited. You can say like this, you see, because at a time only this much can be seen. And you can also go ahead and say drishta is limited by the drishya. But drishti, is drishti limited? Then there is this unknowing that I don't know. I don't know if it is possible for it to be limited. Just like the experiencing goes on, the experiencer goes on. You cannot find a limit. How are you going to put a limit on that which is experiencing? Okay, Mukul has a comment. Nothing is happening. Okay, that is another, thing that the great masters say. Like existence is infinite. And then contradictory statement, nothing is happening. So would you like to say why this is true? Why nothing is happening? Because if nothing is happening, then there is no existence. Then I need not worry about whether it is infinite or finite. So I know I've said this many times. Nothing is happening. And that I did not say it like this. And there was a long reasoning behind it. There was a long series of statements that then finally conclude nothing is happening. It has to do with the impermanence and the illusion, not with the existence. Okay, that is his rationale, that no other answers will make sense. And I have to agree actually to this, that there is nothing really which, if you go on digging like this, and the answers are like not satisfactory, everything is cyclical. Okay, that's what I was saying, that it will go on referring to itself. Just like I said, I defined the existence as the experience, and then when we examine it from the experience side, we define the experience as the existence. And then I say, okay, there is the experiencer which is looking at the existence, and then from the side of the experiencer we see that, that experiencer is existence itself. It is nothing. It is nothing. It is the activity of experiencing. We do not see the experiencer as something happening in the existence. We do not see this. The existence is happening. That's what we know. And now you cannot make any sense of it. That's why whatever is happening, it does not stay. You cannot pin it here. Oh, look, this happened. And the other thing happened. And the other thing happened. And this is a series of happenings. You cannot do that. Because this is an illusion. As soon as you remove memory from it, this illusion is destroyed. We know things are happening only because of the memory. When there is no memory, what remains? A happening that is not really happening. There is no experience if there is no memory of it. There is no existence if it is not being seen through the memory, through the window of the memory. This memory is what we call as mind. So yes, no mind, no experience. Mind, illusory experience. Conclusion is nothing there. Nothing is happening. That is one way. That is one way to arrive at this thing. And therefore, such philosophies are called nihilistic philosophies because they end up in a big zero. As for some people, it is a big shock. Oh, look, there is nothing. It is very depressing. It is depressing for the ego who has invested so much in this nothing. Oh, my property, my happiness, my relatives, my body, my life, everything that I achieved here, it amounts to nothing. That no ego likes this thing. And so it's not going to accept this answer. And the answer will be, the reaction will be like this. If nothing is happening, what is this? What is this around me? And who am I? And if you have seen the Jim Newman satsangs, this question appears again and again there. Oh, you said nothing is happening. You said it cannot be known, but I know. I can see something happening. And it is then, you see, Jim Newman has his own way of silencing that person. So the mind wants to bring in this existence every time. It is mind created. And it wants to hold on to this. Look, it is real, it is happening. You cannot say it is not happening. Why is that? Because that person has not taken time to get into the depth of this illusion. Is not free from the memory, so cannot see it. Just like I said, you won't get the answer of whether existence is infinite or not, but that is not a big problem. It can appear as finite, limited, just like now it is appearing. It can appear as infinite, it goes on and on and on, the experience goes on and on. It can appear as that which is experiencing. It can appear as the mind. It can appear as the illusion, the ignorance in the mind, and so on. It is as if, you see, there is the existence is a bartender. You go there and it says, what would you like to have today? I'm at your service. You say, I want something finite. And it will give you exactly that. The next day you come, I'm in a total different mood. I want something infinite. And it will give you that. And the next day you come and say that, I want something mysterious that I cannot know whether it started, whether it will end. And, okay, sir, this is your drink, the unknowable drink. And the other day you come, I want nothing. And it will say, okay, I have nothing to give you now. Take this nothing. So did you get an answer? I don't think there are any answers on the path of knowledge. But yeah, surely if you had any kind of irrational assumptions, surely they are wiped out by now. So yes, it is possible to show that it is finite. It is possible to show it is infinite. And it is possible to show that it is unknowable. And now you cannot say anything about finite, anything. And then it is possible to show that there is nothing there to question about. If all the existence is experience, and the experience is only the illusion of experience, then, there is nothing really. And then you can argue like this, but yes, probably there is nothing, probably it's all made up. But there is the experiencer, which is witnessing these illusions. The witness cannot be an illusion. So it is not nothing. There is something. And now you feel that I'm very, very sure that there is a witness. There is a consciousness, awareness there. Whatever you want to call it now. The Atman, the Brahman, the Satchitanand. Big names. Is it there? Okay, Mukul can say nothing is happening, but is there nothing? Anybody has a comment here? Because if you think like this, everything will start shaking in your mind. What do you call? Confidence will start shaking. Should I say it? Let me think about it. No matter how much you think, there will not be any answer. So still, is there any view? Is there any answer in your mind? Is there an experiencer? You can say the experience is the experiencer. The Atman is the only thing that exists. Every other thing is non-existent. This is the great statement of Advait, Mahavakya. Brahma Satya Jagat Mithya. Why do they say that? Any comments? Jagat is Brahma, yes. There is no separate Jagat from Brahma. Nothing separate there, which is not this Satchitanand. This is the statement of Advait. That means it exists. That means something is there. That means something is happening, even if it is an illusion of happening. We are again in some kind of confusion here. If you say there is existence, it must be happening. If you say nothing is happening, then nothing should be there. There will not be anybody to put this question then. Is there anything happening? If there is a question, then there must be something that is happening. Now, I know this is a kind of trick question. This is a very deep question also. And I don't think you will get an answer. But it's good to think like this. There is an answer that is again in the Buddhism, which is, well, all the existence is emptiness. And now it is self-contradictory answer. So, if it is emptiness, how can you say it exists? Yes, that is a very, very good question. Who is asking the question, you see? That can be an illusion. The emptiness is asking, why am I empty? And you can go on like this. The shunyata is a very good concept, you see. It will silence most of your questions. That which appears to be asking is actually not there. It's non-existent. There is only the emptiness. So it looks like that, well, it's not going to be resolved. And that's why the Brahman is also called the unknowable, Aggeya. If you recall the Hermetic philosophy, the all is unknowable, he says. This is not what you call limit of our intelligence. I can tell you, you can think about this, the question of existence for many, many years, and you will arrive at this statement that the all is unknowable. All is existence, isn't just another word for the existence. So, just like I said, you can make it into anything you want. It will appear as anything. If you want, it will become finite, which is what it is for most of the people here. It starts with the birth and it ends with the death, and in between there is a narrow band of experiences. They happen in perfectly predictable, mechanical manner. This is, most of the people will say like this. This is the, ignorance of the waking state. Then if you want, you can make it appear as something else. If you explore more states of the mind, then it will take many, many forms. There is no end to it. And therefore, you can declare, it is infinite, which is also half-truth, isn't it? Because yes, it is infinite in some way. There is no limit there. But can something exist if it is infinite? Also, unsolvable question, unknowable question. Yes, it can exist if it is finite. It starts here, it ends there. I can see it in any form I want. And the experience is there. And the finite things exist. If it is infinite, can it exist? Well, I don't know. Unknowable. Yes, the existence is infinite. So existence does not exist then, which is self-contradicting statement. Oxymoron. So, yes, he has said something very nice. Knowledge is duality. The oneness can be known only as duality. Oneness can be known as finite things in chunks. If you want to know the whole of it, it will look like infinite. And then these questions will arise. What kind of infinite it is? Can it really exist if it is not finite? And if it is infinite, well then only the emptiness can be infinite. Only if it is zero, you can say it can be infinite. It can appear as infinite. So if it is zero, that means nothing. Whatever happens is an illusion of some kind. Very, very flimsy illusion, not strong illusion also. Illusion that does not exist is that kind of illusion. Now, there is no place to stand in this kind of philosophy. Don't worry if you're totally lost. These things are like koans. They are designed to make you stop thinking. Just be. You don't worry whether it is infinite, finite, or how it appears. Whether it is dual, non-dual. Whether it is or it is not. These are, all occupations. This is all activity of the mind. The ultimate is unknowable. Beyond mind. So this is how we reach beyond mind, you see. Are you there now? Are you on the place of beyond mind? Because the mind must have stopped by now. This is how we reach above knowledge when we try to know. If you know, that means it's an assumption. It is guaranteed that it is a half-truth. And a newbie seeker will stop at the half-truth. An advanced seeker will keep on advancing, keep on questioning, and reach the not knowing. Not knowing is more important than knowing, because it is the final place. It is the final resting place for the mind. As long as you know something, that is all illusion. So there is a saying, again in Advaita, that when you know the self, you know everything. This does not really happen, isn't it? When you know the self, this need to know drops. Instead of knowing, it is a state of being. You know everything as nothing, which may appear as finite, infinite, this, that. You don't care now. It is all mind. So what good are all these theories? What good are all these, knowledge that I accumulated? Very, very fine kind of knowledge, you see. Very, very logical, systematic. I know everything. Is it of any use? There is a use. I'm not going to say it is totally useless. There is a use and throw kind of use, that this knowledge will take you to the place of not knowing. The not knowing is arrived at through knowing. Once you know that I do not know, you can drop the knowing. So some people will think, oh, there's nothing to know then, finally. How relaxing. I'm not going to know anything now. I'll drop this all adventure, spiritual adventure. Because you said there's nothing to know. Or everything is known as not knowing. That is a kind of paradox again. But that is not a good attitude. If you are a seeker, you should know. It is very good. You see how entertaining this is. Is there any other good way to spend your time? Because you see, it has to be your own experience. You simply cannot say that, okay, somebody arrived at this conclusion of emptiness. Now I'll simply assume that it is empty. It's not going to do much. It's all your assumptions, beliefs, blind superstitions, they are going to remain there. So the seeker needs to go through this knowing business. Cannot simply assume, oh, it's unknowable, so I drop all my seeking now. Don't worry about the seeking. You see, it will drop by itself. What are you seeking? On the path of knowledge, we are seeking the destruction of knowledge. Now it will appear very counterintuitive. It will look like false. We do not say these things because it's kind of troublesome. Nobody likes this. And seekers are immediately discouraged. Or no, don't seek because there's nothing to seek. And then they go and they're lost in the world. Okay, Charlie is saying that it only happens when everything the mind thinks of is exhausted. Yes. This is how we silence the mind on the path of knowledge. Oh, you want to know? Okay, here is the knowledge. You want to know this also? Okay. You want to know the deeper? Okay, deeper also. And when it finds nothing there, it stops. Then the no mind appears as the background of this mental activity. Now you don't need to call it reality, you don't need to call it true nature, you don't need to call it Atman, Brahman. Because as soon as you call it something, the mind restarted. Don't give it a name. You have reached the nirgun state of Brahman. So yes, this is how the mind stops. There are many ways to get out of this mental, what you call, chakra view, this meal of mind. Knowledge is one of the way. Don't think you will know. There is a lot of unlearning that happens on the path of knowledge. It happens very beautifully by knowing. You see, the question was, is the existence infinite? A very innocent question. And the mind is expecting yes or no and a concrete, logical, answer. Yes, it is finite because of this. It is infinite because of this. It is not that black and white, you see. If you dig a lot, then the question will disappear. The one who is questioning will also disappear. This is the yoga. Chitta vritti nirodha. The activity of the mind stops and the yoga happens. This is called kevalya. This is the Patanjali's word, kevalya. And it means aloneness. In Buddhism, it is called the suchness, tathata. In Advaita, you can say nirgun Brahman. So many names, but nobody will claim that they know this. Naming does not mean that I know it. There is somebody who is, very famous. Probably it was Richard Feynman who said, "You will know the names of everything, but you will never know what it is." It's a very profound statement, isn't it? That's why knowledge is relative. It is always in a relation to something. And nothing can be said about the experience on which the knowledge is based on. It will appear finite, it will appear infinite, it will appear mysterious, it will appear unknowable. And the only thing we should be careful about is not to stop at the appearance. Oh, somebody told me it is infinite and I like it. I like the answer and there was reason that was given. The experience never starts, it never ends. So it is infinite. I'm happy here. And that means the progress has stopped. That means you're still in the mind, happy with the answers of the mind. You need to question more and the questions will start looking more and more ridiculous. It will be like, why did you ask this question? Isn't it self-evident that it is infinite? Why do you need to ask this again, that can the infinite thing exist? Where will it exist? How will it exist? Why is it infinite? And you see, the mind does not want to go there. It has already seen the limits of itself. So it will avoid going there. No, I'm happy here. It's okay for me. It's infinite. So we should be careful when this happens. When the mind wants to remain in the delusion that it itself has created. So many people will be afraid of questioning beyond this. Because so much was invested in the mind. Okay, tell me something where I can keep the investment and it is still nothing. Or tell me something like this. This is what you want, isn't it? It is the same thing. It will cook up something like this all the time. When I say death is the end of the mind. And you say, no, it cannot be. Cannot be like this. What is the use of this life? All we encounter is death. If it is destroyed, it's meaningless. And then it imagines that I am going to continue as this mind and I'll also reborn. There will be rebirth. And this is called Mahamaya. Because Maya is, this world looks real. And the Mahamaya it creates more layers of existence for you. It is mind after all. Remember? It is Maya itself. The Maya is mind generated. Projection. Like that way it says. It's projection. And there is a veiling of this projection where it says, no, I don't see how it is unreal. The reality does not appear to me. Whatever you are saying, I cannot see it. So this two-way thing, two-dimensional Maya. So it will create another layer for you. So that reminds me of the movie, The Matrix again. Like the Matrix was created, but whatever the thought is, the reality, the earth, that was also created, that was also unreal. And then Neo thought he is free. He was still trapped just in another layer. And there is a very, very good movie, which probably not so popular. It is called The 13th Floor. Everybody should see that movie. It is before Matrix. It's a very beautiful movie, and same idea there. Mind will create whatever you want it to create. So it can appear infinite, no problem for it. It is also always so much confusing when you start on the path of knowledge or any spiritual path, because you see there are relative truths, and then there is the absolute truth, and there is the no truth, and people get confused. Oh, that day you said, you see, there is no death. Today you are saying it is an illusion. That day you said the universal mind is the ultimate reality. Today you are saying it can create 20 more universal minds if you ask it to create. What is the truth then? There is no such thing as truth. So it is all relative. Truth is subjective and relative. All truths are half-truths. This is what Kabbalion said, isn't it? It is a deep statement. It is not something to be just, listen and go home. It's not like this. If you introspect like this, you will find that there's no truth. Whatever appears as true is very limited in the limited scope, in a relative way. Yes. Oh, I'm hungry and I need to eat, and the food is true, and the body is true, and the hunger is true. Can you say, no, it's all illusion, I'll just, fast today. And this is a creation of the mind. It is denying this truth that is relative. So you can recognize a half-truth if you can find something which is more true than that. So all truths will be found like this. There is no ultimate truth. There is ultimate half-truth, but we don't want it now. As long as there is true and false, you are still in the mind. These all sentences, these all, whatever you call it, you see, teaching. And they are just tools to bring you out of the mind. Just like we saw in the book that we read, the teaching of the Bodhidharma. Everything that he says is actually designed to bring you out of the mind. As long as you want to know, as long as you have answers, everything, you're trapped in the mind. Or you can say, there is no I am, so how can I be trapped in the mind? So the mind is trapped in itself, the illusion of I being the mind. You can say, no, what is wrong in that? Spirituality is hardly concerned with right and wrong, isn't it? It is concerned with freedom. It's perfectly okay. It's perfectly right to be trapped. There is nothing wrong there. If it is an illusion, the bondage is also an illusion, then nothing wrong. As soon as you know this, you're free. If the objective is to be free, and then the real freedom is freedom from the mind. The mind is not freed, the mind is silenced, dissolved. Now there will be some, the mind will remain like this for a while, and again there will question, now I have achieved the no mind, now what should I do? It is a sign that the mind has made a re-entry. It cannot be killed, you see. So it enters again. Okay, I have achieved. Now what should I do? Many people are like this. They ask this question. And remember again, you need to remember this again, that, it is the mind. It cannot sit without doing anything, so it is asking. And then you'll let that question be. Is there anything to do? Because doing, again, in the domain of the mind, again, in the domain of the ignorance. So non-doing. Don't do anything. Zen master will tell you. And then the student will be puzzled again. How can I do the non-doing? If you remember, we talked about this in the last Sunday Q&A. Don't try to do the non-doing. It is simply recognition that nothing is happening. Nothing needs to be done. And then you let whatever is happening happen. So it will be shocking for many. Oh, I thought the spirituality is like this. The spirituality will give me like something. The spiritual path, we arrive at something, some great truth. And it is a big disappointment because you get nothing in the end. There's nothing to do in the end also. That's why spirituality is the art of being. It's not getting, it's not knowing, it's not doing. And what do you see around you? Most of the people are trapped in, I want this, so that's why I become spiritual. I want peace of mind. This all appears very, very ridiculous now. Or I want the ultimate truth. I want to be dissolved in the Brahman. Oh, wow, it's great, great, great goals you have. But I'm sorry, nothing will be achieved in the end. If you are coming in on the spiritual paths for an achievement, you better achieve something in the world. That will be a good achievement. Spirituality is not for achieving. Still we say, you are not progressing. You need to progress. If you do this, you'll progress. And now you can recognize that these are all half-truths. We are saying this in a relative way. You see that I achieved nothing only when you have achieved everything. You can try that. Or you can simply meditate like this and arrive at non-doing, non-achieving. So you see, it's not the fault of the seeker. From where an ordinary seeker is, it is invisible. From where the master is, everything makes perfect sense. From the point of view of the seeker, it's not making any sense at all right now. So it's okay. So the master will give you something to do. Be good. Don't kill people. Don't lie. Don't accumulate stuff. Read this, read that. Introspect like this, so on. What is the master trying to do is not trying to give you something. He's emptying you. You're already full. He's, emptying the cup. You can do that in one step if you want. I think it was Sadhguru or somebody. It was Sadhguru who said, if you want, you can drop all your karma right now, right here. I was watching that video and I was shocked. I said, that's what I wanted. And then he said, but you won't do it. Now I understand why this is so. It is possible to be empty right now, right here, because that is what there is. And the mind won't do it. It's all okay. You don't need to worry about this thing. That's why I think, I don't know who said, once you get rid of the karma, you realize that it was not there. All your sanskar, or all the impressions, all this memory was not there. My opinion about this is that you can do it right now. Realize that it's not yours. And that will get rid of all the karma. And that will make you Jivan Mukt right now, right here. It's not difficult.
Pure experiences.
You were listening to Pure Experiences by Tharun Pradhan.